So our next step is getting into a MySQL shell as root and creating a database and user to use for our WordPress site. So you do that with MySQL user, lowercase u, root -p, and enter that super secure password that you had before. This is the password which you set during the MySQL secure installation step. Okay, so this is what a MySQL shell, a database shell, looks like. It's sort of like your bash, your operating system shell, but you're simply talking to the database as opposed to your operating system now. You're going to paste the MySQL command in here, changing, of course, your site to your site name and the user for a user that makes sense for the username. So in this case, we'll use Tutorial Linux for both the site and the username. Something that'll be useful for you, just paste the SQL statements into a text file and you can modify them there and then paste them over. So we'll say Tutorial Linux is our database name, and our user again will be Tutorial Linux at localhost. The password for our Tutorial Linux user will be Linux test. Oh boy, that's a secure one, huh? Again, for this, you can use that same password command to get something really nice and secure. Just to show you quickly, if you do Control-R for a reverse search and then type in TR, you'll get this, and then you can just hit enter, and that'll give you another really nice, safe password, just like your root password for MySQL. You can paste that in here, and that'll give you something a little bit better than Linux test. Okay, let's get into that root shell again. MySQL u root p. I just typed in the password wrong. There we go. So we're back in our MySQL shell. And your site obviously is Tutorial Linux. So all tables on Tutorial Linux, the Tutorial Linux user has privileges on identified by that password. We're going to flush the privileges to make sure that these become active right away. And you can go ahead and literally take this whole thing and just paste it right into your MySQL root shell. Just check each one of these SQL statements is terminated by a semicolon, and afterwards you should get an OK from MySQL for every one of these. If you've got any errors, you might need to check your syntax or make sure that these things all match up. Again, I really recommend naming the database and the user the same thing. It just makes things a lot easier. So now you've got a database for your site and a user for your site. You can just go ahead and hit Control-D as if you were exiting any other shell to get out of MySQL.